Welcome back to Channel 5 PSYC. I'm Deb Element, and today we have a special guest here to share with us his world-renowned developmental theories in psychology. Please welcome John Piaget. Thank you so much for coming in today, Dr. Piaget, and congratulations on your recent selection for the Erasmus Prize.
Thank you, Deb, and thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Well, before we get into your ideas, let's take a look at the field of psychology when you first published your theories. John Piaget started his career in natural history and philosophy before becoming a psychologist. He studied under Carl Jung for a short time and afterwards happened to meet Theodore Simon, one of Alfred Binet's colleagues, who offered him a job supervising the standardization of intelligence tests developed by Binet and Simon. While working under Binet and Simon, Piaget became interested in the intellectual development of children. Before Piaget's work, people believed that children were less competent thinkers than adults, but Piaget showed that they just think differently. John Watson and B.F. Skinner, who were important behaviorists at the time, influenced the development of the learning theory, which focuses on the environmental factors that affect a child's learning, especially on a child's ability to learn by having certain behaviors rewarded and others discouraged. Piaget was interested in the environmental contributions to the child's learning, but thought that children had a more active role in learning than described in the learning theory. Piaget started work in child development in the 1920s, and following the birth of his children, became very interested in the cognitive development of children. His subsequent developmental theories were born out of this curiosity. Dr. Piaget, you identified your field of study as genetic epistemology. Can you explain what that means?
Sure. Well, epistemology is basically the study of knowledge, its nature, origin, extent, and limitations. I believe that children are born with a basic mental structure that is inherited genetically, so all subsequent knowledge and learning is based on that. I call these basic building blocks of intelligent behavior schemas. They're basically units or ways of organizing knowledge that relate to different aspects of our world, like objects, actions, and abstract concepts. As children grow, their schemas become more numerous and complex.
So then how do children deal with all that new information?
Well, intellectual growth is really a process of adaptation. So children can sort all of this new information by assimilation and accommodation. In assimilation, children use an existing schema to understand a new concept. In accommodation, they may change an existing schema to fit a new concept.
Wow, that seems like a lot of work for a small child to be doing.
Yes, but it all comes naturally. And actually, I've come up with a system of cognitive developmental stages that fit children's thinking at every stage of their life.
Yes, we have a clip of this theory in action.
New babies aren't quite sure what happens to objects when they leave their sight. Sky's mom keeps disappearing and reappearing. No wonder peekaboo is so much fun. During their first year, however, infants will learn an important concept: object permanence. Everything has a life of its own, even if it is out of sight.
At Maya's age, babies know to look for the object, but they might not have everything else straight. 10-month-old Simon is about to make a classic mistake. Although he watched us place the toy plane under the white cloth, he'll look for it where he last found it, not where he...
Can you look at these two glasses? Do you think that they have the same amount of juice? You think they have the same? Okay. Now we're going to pour this juice into this glass. Now, do you think that this glass has more juice, this glass has more juice, or do you think that they have the same amount?
That one has more.
This one has more, and why do you think that this one has more?
Because it's taller.
So first we're going to look at these two cups right here. Do you think there's the same amount of juice in this glass as there is in that glass?
They're even.
They're even? Okay. So we're going to take the juice from this glass and pour it into this one right here.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to look at this glass and that one. So do you think that there's more juice in this glass, more juice in this glass, or do you think that they have the same amount?
Same amount.
Okay, why do you think that they have the same amount?
Just because this is skinny doesn't mean it's not the same amount. It has the same amount of juice in it, but this one is just wider and this one's skinnier, but they have the same.
It says, if you hit a glass with a hammer, the glass will break.
I knew that.
And then this one says, Dawn hit a glass with a hammer.
I knew that too.
So what happened to the glass?
It broke.
It broke. Why did it break?
Because the hammer's hard.
If you hit a glass with a feather, the glass will break.
No, it won't.
And this is the second rule. Dawn hit a glass with a feather. What happened to the glass?
Nothing.
Nothing happened? Why didn't anything happen?
Because the feather was soft.
If you hit a glass with a feather, the glass will break.
Okay.
And the second one, Dawn hit a glass with a feather. What happened to the glass?
It broke.
And why did it break?
Because the rule says if you hit a glass with a feather, it'll break. So if you hit a glass with a feather, it broke.
Can you explain in more detail these stages seen in the video?
Of course. So infants start in the sensory motor phase, which continues about till age 2. In this stage, infants start to understand the concept of object permanence, and they come into their ability to control objects. After that, through about age 7, children are in the pre-operational stage. In this stage, they begin to use language, but they tend to have very egocentric thinking. In other words, they have a hard time seeing things from others' perspectives. In the concrete operational stage, which lasts from about 7 to 11 years of age, the child moves into more logical thinking and starts to recognize the conservation of mass and numbers, like we saw in the video. After that, the child enters the formal operational stage, which lasts us our whole lives. In this stage, we can think abstractly, critically, and are able to create and test hypotheses.
Now, do these stages apply to all children?
Yes, I believe that these cognitive stages are universal. All children go through them at varying paces.
Well, thank you. I believe that it's all the time we have today, but thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
Piaget has had a lasting influence on the field of psychology. He was able to show that children have complex thought processes just like adults. His research opened up a whole new field of psychology in child development, allowing for further discoveries to be made on the overall development of children. Piaget's ideas have been used in education as well as the field of educational psychology with concepts such as discovery learning, student-centered classrooms, and assessments. There has been some controversy over Piaget's ideas. Some scholars do not believe that the formal operational stage is guaranteed, while others reject the stages altogether. It's up to you to decide what you believe. Until next time, I'm Dev Element.